Well, I'm so excited to have my beautiful, wonderful, amazing friend here with me. And yes, this is Sam, for those of you who don't know. And I'm so excited that, again, we get to be together and we get to have a conversation. And I adore Sam and I adore her writing. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend you go and read her writing. I'll put some links in the description. But please go read Sam's work. It is inspiring and wonderful. And I'm just so privileged to know you, Sam. So I'm so
You're
grateful to
so
have you
sweet.
here.
I'm already getting emotional.
I know, like, we might cry. We don't know what's gonna come out out of this conversation.
No, I'm so blessed to be able to visit here this week, and Daniel and Michelle are just the most
Oh,
incredible people, and they are so inspiring. They have inspired me in the last couple of days to get back on YouTube. So this is like my
yes.
first trial run again after being away for like a year and a half, and
Mm,
I'm so
mhm.
excited to come back and
Yeah.
just reflect on things that I've been working on and
Mhm.
poetry and all those wonderful things.
Yes.
So,
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for your kind words, Sam. And yeah, I'm excited. Something I love about getting to talk with you is just the things that come to mind and the articulations that come forth in conversing. And there's something that feels just different in the energy, and I love it. I
mm,
love it so much. And something that we were talking about off screen was about serendipitous energy. Poetry, letter writing,
mhm.
and actually, you have a beautiful blog. Don't you have your
Oh,
blog
yes,
post
I
up?
do have my blog,
Yeah,
which I
you.
post on sometimes, but I'm trying to get better with posting more.
Yeah, but you wrote a blog post,
Yeah.
kind of getting at this kind of concept of serendipitous
Mm,
energy. Though maybe you can share a little bit more about your articulation there. But I think that it's such a beautiful concept. And actually, Daniel and I have been talking a lot through through season two about energy and about like mysterious energy and how. Basically, to me, I think about it like this: there's external reasons why you can get energy, and then there's the internal cultivation of energy. And those are actually something to recognize as distinct but at play,
mm,
dialectical with each other. And why that matters is because if we're talking about trying to increase energy as we desire to do as humans because we feel more alive in an energetic state, though obviously it ebbs and flows. um, it's important to identify like where is energy coming from
mhm,
and how can we participate in its spontaneous generation, because otherwise we just look for energy pellets. It's kind of like just going
right.
around looking for things to like make you feel better, make you feel energy. And honestly, though there are things out externally that can give you energy, like being in the sun,
Mm,
hugs from a loved one, all of those things. If you come to solely rely on energy from, like I was saying, and a lot of it can also be dopamine if we're thinking hormonally, et cetera, or chemically. But like it's, you just look for, oh, I got my energy hit or my energy pellet or whatever, instead of
mm,
it being something that you can actually cultivate within yourself, which is really empowering and really exciting, because then you
mm,
have more of an agency in that creation without just kind of, instead of just having waited around for it or seek something out simply to feel better. So of course it's always a dialectic between the internal and the external, but yes, I think it's such an important and interesting topic. And um, energy is going to impact like our motivation to do stuff, how much we get done, how we feel about ourselves, how we feel in our relationships. So to me, energy feels really alive, and we actually are energetic beings. So
mhm.
yeah, that's kind of all of the things that are coming to my mind to sort of start with, but I'm excited to see where it goes, but I'm going to throw it back your way.
Yeah, when I started this journey of trying to figure out in the beginning, I didn't necessarily call it serendipitous energy,
Hmm.
but I want to say that it started with poetry,
Hmm.
and it eventually fell into letter writing to some of my friends, which I would love to talk about. But
Hmm.
um, I would say that poetry is such a beautiful thing. Where I know last night we were talking about how men and women are a bit different in the way we approach philosophy
Hmm.
and studying, where men they just kind of we make this joke where they will like close themselves behind a door, kind of like Schopenhauer, and just like have this obsessive nature of trying to get everything down and write
Hmm.
800-page novels. And
Hmm.
it's a beautiful thing, but I think as women we have um a very real way of um living our life where we can't necessarily shut ourselves behind a door. We can't stay in the void. We are constantly getting out of that void.
Mm.
So we have to more or less find little moments, little sparks of inspiration where we can write down that poetry
Yes.
and find those moments and capture them, almost apprehend them.
Mhm, mhm,
And
mhm,
so oftentimes
mm,
I'll just be doing things with my daughters and I'll have a spark where I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to write something down right now.
mm,
And so I take that minute to write it down and then I can come back to it.
mm,
And sometimes what we do can look very like condensed
mm,
and because we might not write those 800-page novels,
mm,
but they're like nuggets. Daniel said
mhm,
that today they're like nuggets where
mhm,
it's still so important and it can open up so many beautiful avenues
mm,
and ways of looking at life.
mhm,
Just that that's really all you need is just sometimes just those little moments where you
mhm,
just sit down and
mhm,
you feel that spark and you write it down. And so
mhm,
what I started doing almost a year ago now, I well I had 3 or 4 friends where I just started writing to a year ago. And oh my goodness, writing letters brings me so much joy. I love it. But I kind of incorporated how I do poetry in my letters.
mm,
And so each month I have a set amount of people that I write to and because it can get to be a lot if you have like more
mhm.
than 10 people
Oh,
you're
yeah.
writing to every month
Uh-huh.
because it takes time. But I was like, if I could think of, 7 to 10 people who have seriously impacted my life and in such a beautiful way, who would
Mm,
it be?
mm,
And those people are almost like you guys are almost like muses for me in writing those letters. So I started it by like I would feel the inspiration to write someone, and I didn't necessarily know where I was going with each letter, but I would put my pen to paper, and I was talking to Javier about this months ago, but it's something like free
mm,
association, where you just start writing, and I feel like every letter comes out in such a beautiful way too,
mhm,
because sometimes they're very funny,
mhm.
they're bonkers, they've got stickers all over them. I'm sure I send them to some of my friends, and they're like, "What was in her mind?" And sometimes my letters are just incredibly vulnerable.
Mm,
And I finish writing them and I'm like, "Wow, that was very surprising
mm,
to even myself that I wrote that to this particular person." And I think that's the key to, like, the serendipitous energy
mm,
is that
mm.
you have to be willing to, 1, feel that rise in you, that something
Mhm.
wants to come out,
Yes.
and then take that moment and be able to surprise yourself because
Mhm,
you can't.
mm,
I
mm,
truly believe that you cannot inspire others unless you can first surprise
mm,
yourself with your own inspiration,
mm,
so that you can surprise others and then inspire them.
mm.
So I'll
Oh,
stop
I love
talking
that.
now, but I got
No,
into
yeah.
my
No,
little
that's
void myself.
I loved it. Oh, I love that. That was so, so beautifully said and really powerful and really important. And actually, something that was coming to my mind as you were speaking was the connection between moment and momentum,
Mhm.
like the wordplay there, because sometimes moments feel like they could be thought of as insignificant, and yet what we're kind of demonstrating by fleshing it out and articulating it here is that, especially for the feminine energy and the feminine
Mhm.
creative, the moments are everything. Like the
Oh,
moments
yes.
are not, and you have to, but you have to remind yourself of that because it's easy to think that just because it can't be a huge chunk of time,
Mm,
that you have to validate it yourself. Like, no, this does matter. It's just a
mhm,
minute. It's just a moment, but it matters. It matters because those moments gain and gather and distribute and offer
mhm,
momentum toward life itself, and toward inspiration, towards joy, and beauty. And so to me, I just think that's an interesting wordplay between moment and momentum, gaining momentum and offering momentum in a sense. If you
mhm,
can even, I think you can in demonstrating it yourself. But like you said, you can't inspire unless you're inspired. You
mhm,
can't, and you have to take the minute or the time, the moment that it requires to actually do, like, doing writing the thing down, and
mhm.
not just letting it be, oh well, never mind, or I don't know what I'll
Like,
do
"I'll
with
do
that,
it
I'm not sure, I'll do it
later."
later. Yeah, well then it's gone, right? Like it's like it's
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know like you have to really like relinquish yourself to it in that moment, to write it down, and then to come back to it and to sort of orbit it, and then also that idea of the, like, the vulnerability that can come forth, like you're allowing yourself to just have it be whatever it is. And I think in
Mhm,
our age of like constant digital expression, and how much can be curated, and how much you can undo or resay or unsend, or edit, like there's so much that is, yeah, there's a weird way in which we have so much communication. I mean, it's not been said, it is not a new point, but just it's interesting to think about it in terms of the phenomenology of it, because if you're sending a message that's digital, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but the thing is that when you're doing it on paper, and you're doing it as like a, I will just write whatever is meant to be said here. Like
mhm.
there's a real trust in that process, and then you're also you have, once you do it, it could be so easy just to be like, I'm gonna ball it up and throw that away. I'm
Like,
not gonna send that.
yeah, actually, once I put it in the mailbox, I always say it's in God's hands now.
Yeah,
And
Jesus,
sometimes
take the wheel.
sometimes I put some of those in the mailbox and I'm like,
Yeah.
but another thing too about the serendipitous energy is that I truly believe that not only is it a surprise, but it is meant to be a gift.
Mm,
Like just truly a gift.
mhm,
Like if you are sending a letter to somebody expecting something
mm,
back, it's not a gift.
mm.
Then it becomes this sort of weird transactional obligation.
Yeah, yeah.
So I always like tell my friends like you do not have to write back. And some people like I don't even like when we get together, I don't even talk about the letters.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just like, yep, they're there for them to
Mm,
just read
mm,
and just hold and collect or throw away if they want to.
mhm.
But
Mm,
yeah, I've also been thinking before I started writing the letters, what is something like what is my gift?
mhm,
What is something that I can give to other people?
mhm,
And so I truly feel blessed that God has kind of inspired me to do this, and
mm,
I hope to continue doing it for a
mm,
long time.
mm,
I know life gets in the way, but I think just staying in that mode of the inspiration will come
mm,
within the month. I just have to kind of trust that God will guide me to know what to say. And I do use moments um, in my life. I'm always sort of paying attention in the back
mm.
of my mind. What could I or what gift could I give to this person, or what can I say to this
I
person
love
that
that.
would bring them kindness and goodness and beauty in
Mm,
their own life.
yeah, oh, I love that so much. And I also think there's something, I mean, I know I've said it, but I think it bears emphasis that um, this trusting process is huge here, and it's a practice of it. It's actually practicing that trust, because it I think that again, and I do wonder if it's informed by our the praxis of digital communication, where um, a letter, there's something about when you think if for some reason, if something comes to your mind that you feel or experience, and you're like, I feel like I could share this with this other person, because
Mhm.
they may have gone through something similar, or maybe
Exactly.
this could resonate for them.
Mhm.
But it's so easy to just dismiss it, because you're like, well, I don't impose, and what if that makes them feel things that they don't want to feel right now? You know
Right.
what I mean? And I think like you have to really trust that there's a reason there's a reason that, whether it's, I don't think it's merely in the brain, but it's the brain and the spirit and the heart
Mhm.
that have made this connection suddenly, that, oh, you go through something, you think of a person, and you
Yes.
think about an articulation of your own experience, and then there's a reason why that person came to your mind,
Mhm.
and so trust that, and like actually let yourself fully yield to it, and doing an active letter writing, that to me feels like a practice of that,
Mhm.
and also trusting that maybe they yeah, not worrying, because like I said, what if you
Yeah.
write something to them and it makes them feel things that they are maybe are hard to feel, or like
Right.
are maybe it puts them in feelings that, you know, oh well, I don't know if I want to make them feel that way, or something like that.
Mhm.
Not in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, feelings are difficult to sometimes sit with,
Mhm.
whether it's grief or whether it's even joy. I mean, there's like, it's not, so I think there's something about having to like trust even in that person too, that they will receive it as a gift, and
Right.
not receive it as a, well, I don't know why they would have thought about me with it. Even though,
Right.
most people wouldn't. Like, most people would be like, wow, thanks. That's so kind of you to think of me. But isn't it funny how even our brains can be like, oh, that might like that might be a bad thing, or that
Mhm.
might be, I don't want to ruffle. I don't want to. I don't know. It's just you just because because okay, back to the digital
Mhm.
medium. It's so easy to get pretty instant feedback of they like that message, or they responded, or they saw.
Mhm.
But with a letter, it's off. You don't know if
You
they
have
got it.
no
You don't even know how
idea.
they responded to it. You don't know if they liked it or hated it. You don't know if they,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
there's just something that really, like, I do think it's important, and may even be like, I don't know. I'm not trying to say that this is like a, but there is something that's almost like a therapeutic, but also
Mhm.
a exercise that is a necessary, maybe even more necessary for us as humans in this
Mhm.
particular historic moment, to do letter writing, because it
Mhm.
slows you down as well. And you have to do this relinquishing process and trust that, there is something about really trusting in this. What I want to say is this kind of serendipitous energy, that you don't realize that you're being a conduit to
Mhm.
impacting somebody in a way that they really might need to be, and
Mhm.
you're saying, and you're trusting that process instead of just holding back because, well, I don't know. I don't know if they'll want that. I don't know if
Yeah.
they'll like that. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's my place or something like that. Now obviously there are certain things wouldn't be your place to speak to another person's life, but when it comes to the serendipitous energy, when it's really grounded in beauty, truth, goodness, in kindness, in care,
Mhm.
then which I know is a big part of your project too, is like that is something that you are giving as a gift, and you're trusting that for whatever reason there was something about a certain message that needed to come through you, that needs to get to them.
Mhm.
you know
Yeah, and I think, I mean, one a big part of it is just, gosh, almost getting over yourself and just
mm,
being brave and being like, it's up to God. It's up
yeah.
to God. Um,
Mm, mm-hmm,
but I think I also started this too because I had moments in my life
mm,
where I got like letters or cards or just like even phrases or messages from
mm-hmm.
people that completely changed the I can't talk
That's a trajectory.
trajectory of my life. And it truly inspired me.
Mm,
And the thing is, those people probably didn't even mean to do anything life changing,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
and yet they did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And oh gosh, I'm getting emotional again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I always like think of that, like because
Mm,
part of my letter writing too is goodness, it is so deeply healing for me.
mm,
Um, I've noticed that sometimes when I sit down and I write letters and they're either really, really funny or very, very vulnerable, it's almost like I needed that in
mm,
that moment
mm,
because I started writing those letters when I was going through a very, very difficult and just an emotionally dark time in my life.
mm-hmm.
And the letter writing was almost like transfusing
Mm,
that like dark energy into something so beautiful
mm,
for other people. And we really, at the end of the day, we have no idea
mm,
how we can affect other people's lives.
mm,
So
mhm,
it's like, and that doesn't even have to do with letter writing. It extends to so many things.
mhm,
It's like just saying hello to somebody, like just a stranger or
mm,
like helping a stranger across the street. Like
mm,
you don't know
mm,
how much you could impact somebody.
mhm,
You have no idea. And that is the beauty of it.
mm,
You might not see somebody ever again, and yet you could have been the person who completely changed the trajectory of their life. I did it!
You did.
Did
Yeah.
it!
Yes, Sam.
Also, if I'm sweating,
Yeah,
it's
it's
super hot out here. I'm a
let's
northern Midwestern girl. I'm
we're
like,
thrown into the heat and
oh,
humidity of
oh,
Virginia.
we're like, we're sweating, we're crying, we're like really getting into it.
And we're gonna replenish. We're gonna hydrate ourselves, Sam.
Gosh.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's another thing. Like, I think sometimes with like these, when people see us out here, I'm like, y'all, it's summer. We're sweating.
you
We're
guys are
sweating.
used to it. I'm
Yeah,
like,
we are. Very
oh.
kind
But
to
you
let
know
us.
what? I can survive negative 45-degree weather. So,
Yes, yeah. You got some toughs. You got some toughs.
you
You're
can
tough.
come to my house and sit in my garage when it's like
Next,
bitterly
right?
cold. Well, we'll
We'll
see
change.
like the opposite side of it.
We'll just be like shivering, like 15 layers on. Like,
I also want to say this too. This is a beautiful example of
mm,
getting out of the void, and
mm,
it's something
mhm.
women do.
Yeah,
Is
we.
we will we'll like cry
Mhm,
and we'll get
mhm,
really emotional, and then all of a sudden
mhm.
we'll be like, oh, it's really hot outside, and we'll just like kind of
Yeah,
step out of it.
it's like
And
the
I think
reality
that
is
is
we're.
such a beautiful thing that we do.
Mhm. Yeah, I think there's a beautiful way to that energy can go, like the feminine energy and creative and philosophical engagement. It's able to like laugh about the fact that we're sitting here, we're out here sweating, and we're talking about, and we can do that, but then we can also get back to talking about serendipitous energy and how it relates to like energy coming out of nowhere. And
Mm.
to me, it's all philosophy. It really is
Yeah.
like it. And I don't there's and it's okay. It's okay to like do the normal human things that
Mm.
are a part of who we are as a species, as we talk about the big stuff or whatever it is, like the big questions,
The big
the big
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, because and we talked about this earlier too. I think
Hmm.
the philosophical space can be quite intimidating
Mm.
because it's very much like, well, what does that mean? What's the meaning of life? And
Okay.
we really get into it, but
Hmm.
at the end of the day, we are like people
Mm.
who just laugh and we do stupid things.
And
And
we cry, sweat. Yeah, and I think too that there's something too about the practical implications of our ideas that also feel like the feminine energy is a bit more in touch with that quotidian, right? The needs of like suddenly a meal needs to be cooked or this needs to be done,
Mm,
and seeing it all as a part of the learning process, like seeing it all as a part of the philosophical expression and journey. It's not relegated merely to to the books and then to the though there's a place for the books, of course. We love books.
yes.
um, and um, and and yeah, there is something about the actual sort of technical definition of philosophy which is to be respected. And I do think
Mhm.
that kudos to the men and that masculine energy that can write the
Absolutely.
800-page books and can
Abs-
like lock themselves away and do the stuff. It's incredible. It's just like a
mhm.
feat, you know. But we should not look down upon or
Mm,
belittle or think lesser than of the moments and of the in-betweens, and because that's truly liminal, like that's the liminal space of life and of existence where the feminine energy is going to be able to weave the philosophy into and see it very evidently in child rearing, in making a
mhm.
meal, in walking, taking a child for a walk or whatever it is. It's in the laughter, because all of it is a part of for me, like why philosophy and doing that type of work or being open to that type of engagement ultimately is about living in a fuller in a fullness of life that otherwise would be less accessible, or you would feel it would be less accessible.
Mm,
So the fullness of life is also going to include all of the little moments, all of
yeah.
the in-betweens, all of the things that yeah, that the little idea you had, don't look down upon it just because it's not substantiated into some like volumes of work or something like that. It still matters. It
Mhm.
really does matter very, very much. um and yeah, I think about it too, like, and I mentioned it too off screen, but ideas are a seed is so small. A
Mhm.
seed is so small, and yet it can grow so much, so abundantly. So, yeah, I think it's definitely, I think we all have to remind ourselves about that. But I do think that the actual act of letter writing is a wonderful way to practice that, because even the act itself can feel like a vulnerable thing to
Mhm.
do it. To practice like putting weight and value on the small things, the little moments, and the
Mhm.
trust process that it
And it
requires.
and it's so different too because you can see the person's handwriting and the pressure they use in the pen and
Mm-hmm.
how they fit all the words on the page and
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
their like natural flow of speaking almost or writing. It is so different in a text message. I feel like we curate ourselves so much when we text and then like you said, it's almost like we second guess ourselves
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, we shouldn't bother them. We shouldn't text them because it's like, oh, they'll see it right away or and then we'll be like there I think for anything, texting has sort of become this like transactional expectation of like if they see it they feel like they're going to have to write back or
Mm-hmm.
you feel like kind of like weird if they don't write back and yeah with letter writing it's just like here you go and oftentimes I'm not gonna lie I forget what I put in letters and so sometimes my friends will be like that was really weird and I'm like I don't remember what I said but I'm sure you're correct.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness,
Oh,
I love that. I love that.
goodness. And I also want to say,
Mm,
back to the just being in the philosophical space. I think we see discussions online and like the podcasts and
yeah.
the debates, and often we feel we can't participate
Yeah.
because we're not quite there yet. Like I will be the first to admit my my verbiage, my language is a lot more limited than others in the philosophical space. But it doesn't mean that my ideas are worthless.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
I think just understanding that there are so many moments of the in between the liminal spaces of learning
Yes.
how
Hmm.
to sort of like insert ourselves in and engage
Mm.
that's authentic to us, but then can also communicate to the other person is so important. And I think we always forget that those people who engage in those podcasts and philosophical spaces that sound very verbose and incredibly well spoken, they started um, at a certain stage of life as well, where they kind of had to learn that. Inserting themselves in that like liminal in between space of not exactly knowing if their if their ideas are going to sound like stupid or
Hmm.
not.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I think even if you think something sounds stupid,
Hmm.
if you have a spark of inspiration, write it down. Write it
Yes.
down there are so many times when I write poetry down and I'm like, at the time, I'm like, I don't even know what this means, but I'm going to write it down anyway. And a month later, I will look
Mm.
back at it and I'm like, oh, that's what that means because I was going through this particular thing
Hmm.
and it makes so much sense.
Yes.
But yeah. So,
No, I love that, and it made me think about the fact that um, to me there's something about somebody's own unique, particular ideas that is so incredibly exciting,
mm-hmm,
invigorating,
mm-hmm,
interesting. Um, and love it to understand what Hegel said or Hume said, because they're people too. I like to think about reading and learning about philosophers like as if I were to run into them at a coffee shop, and it's like this guy was really wrestling with some questions about being Heidegger. Like he was just, and he really wanted to figure this out, and that's so cool. That's so cool
yeah.
that he would have taken the time to really grapple with questions that he
Mm-hmm,
had, and I think that's beautiful, and I think that's why it is important to read. um, philosophers and their original text. Um, but when just as it were to be running into Heidegger at the coffee shop, if I were to run into Sam or run into somebody else I know through the liminal web space or anybody in your geolocational place, it's like, what do you think?
Mhm.
What do you think? Or what does Heidegger make you think about? Or how does it impact you? Or why would it even matter to you? Right. And I think that there's something about valuing your own ideas enough to be able to be okay with putting them out there. It's not right or wrong.
Mhm.
It's not egoic to see that your ideas have a role and are important. Um, Now, obviously, people can get ideas and then they can run with them and force them on everybody else, and of course, it could be egoic. But I think what is more often the case is that people have certain thoughts, questions, ideas, but they feel like I don't know. That might be wrong, or we think about it so much in terms of getting a right answer on a test or something like that.
Mhm.
And we think about it like, well, what if it's stupid? Or what if nobody understands? Or what if it doesn't matter? And why does it matter anyway? It's just some thought
Yeah,
I had, or
really,
some idea.
we're just reflecting, and
Yeah.
I also feel that the way I was sort of able to get into philosophy and reading philosophy, like Heidegger and Schopenhauer and whatnot, those are probably the two biggest ones I like to read on, was just literature,
Hmm.
regular
Yes. Yes.
literature. I
Yes.
love fiction. I love Kafka, Dostoevsky,
Hmm.
just immersing yourselves in those types of stories
Yes.
and not really saying, was this book good or bad?
Exactly.
And giving it a 5-star review or 1-star review or whatever,
Hmm.
but really just saying, how do I feel about this?
Exactly. Like,
How
how
can
do you
I
actually?
reflect upon this?
Hmm.
Like I remember reading Kafka for the first time, The Metamorphosis, and it was truly life changing
Hmm.
because I was um, going through something in my particular life
Hmm.
where there was a part in the book where it really sparked an inspiration in me and a reflection where I was like, oh my gosh, this is what this story is about. But I
Hmm.
worded it like, oh, I feel this way about this story. Like,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, this story is actually saying this is what happens when we have no use for people and what
Hmm.
happens to them. And because I was going through something in my own life that I could reflect upon in that story. And so I think we can find so much inspiration, this serendipitous inspiration, through reading.
Yes.
Read. Oh my gosh. Even if you have to start small with
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
smaller stories like The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. Is it Shirley Jackson? I
I
think.
forget the her
I
name.
can't
Yeah.
remember, but The Lottery, very small.
Hmm.
Kafka
Hmm.
has very small
Hmm.
stories. I love to write. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I love to write small stories and poetry as well.
Mhm.
And I think that helps inspire me to make choices in my own life because it's
Mm.
a constant reflection.
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. I didn't mean to
Oh no,
interrupt you. I'm
no,
so sorry. Just I gotta say, we're like jumping in.
some sometimes I like pause and then I'm like, okay, yeah, that thought. And I pause and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yes, well, no, that was all so good. And um I think I want to say that even though we can all fight those feelings of like, oh, why does this matter? Maybe it's wrong. I would encourage and urge people, men, women, whoever you are, to value your own unique thoughts and reflections on things because it does matter. It's showing you something about your own self and your own process and your own journey and your own what you are creating in the world. And you're also creating your own life in the world. And I think that yeah, it's important. It just because I think too, it's also a way to be known. And that's also
Mhm.
probably why it's scary too,
Yeah, to be
because you're to
seen.
be seen.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people don't because again, or maybe they're like, I don't know what to think, or I don't know what to, and I don't, this isn't to make anyone feel bad if they feel like they don't have thoughts of reflection after
Right.
encountering something or the other. But usually a lot of times we do, even if it's a question, even if it's a little question,
Mhm.
or even if it's a little feeling you got from it, or even if it's something again so minor that it could be so easily overlooked, it's still there
Mhm.
and it does matter and it does really inform. It's such a like when people take the time to share their thoughts on things, to me that's so, again, like I told you already, it's invigorating because I'm like, it's them, it's their
Yeah.
particularity that had this particular unique engagement and it, whether it's an insight or a aha moment, or it was a feeling or something that came from this, from encountering, an essay that they read, or a short story that they read, or something like that. And I just think like that feels so, um, I don't know, there's almost a desire to know people like that. And a lot of
Mhm.
people don't let themselves be known like that because that feels risky,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It feels very
Oh,
risky.
yeah.
Yeah. And I don't mean that people have to do this sort of thing, but if they
Yeah.
can, I do think that
Mm,
not only is it going to be a gift to yourself, but you also offer that gift to other
mm,
people. And that's why, like, when I don't know, when I was younger, I would like ask my family members, and now that I think about it, yeah, I think I also asked them to do this, which both can be indicative of something that's really their own. But I remember like going around to each family member and being like, draw me something that you want to draw, something you want to draw.
Oh, I
And
love
then and then
that.
I might ask them like, write a sentence or two that like you
Mm,
want to write. That's like that you're there's just something about knowing somebody's own creation that they can
mhm,
write or mark, like that draw, or write something that is like, oh my gosh,
mhm,
I like there I know you and I see you, but I see you even more fully. And that's
mhm,
something so beautiful to be able to do, and it does feel like even more informative than just knowing the things a person does, right? Like, not that those things don't matter. There's that's valuable too. But yeah, just the way that a person can have their own, it's just the perpetuation of creation through encountering creation
mhm,
that is again showing and becoming more of one's own self in
mhm,
that process. Um and yeah, but there's a lot of there's a lot of times where it's just it is often sort of suppressed, or it's
mhm,
um people don't know what to do with that because, well, is it for a class, or
mhm,
like is it for this, or is maybe I like maybe I'm to say
mhm.
that or to do that would be like talking too much. I mean, really, these things can like really keep people from engaging in that way. But I do want to say that I do hope that people can see it as a potentiality of a way to engage in life and in relations and in conversation, and with a great conversation that's occurring. Like, if when you read Dostoevsky or you read Kafka, like you're participating in this great conversation that's been happening for years and years and thousands of
Mhm.
years. And it's such an incredible thing that we have the opportunity to do. um and yeah, but again, like when um it is weird because the concept of doing it for a grade or doing it for something,
Mhm.
you have to take that non-rational leap to say, I'm doing it just to do it. I'm doing it because there's no answer, there's no reason,
Yeah.
there's no rationale for it. And that's it. But then that non-rational activity is actually what we're talking about in terms of actually perpetuating more spontaneous energy, serendipitous energy,
Mhm.
serendipitous inspiration, connections. Like, it's wild, it's wild, but it is real. It's very, very real.
Yeah, and it reminds me of, it almost feels like going back to being a child,
Mm, mhm,
very much living in the moment, because I think about my own children
mm,
and they're just kind of there doing their own thing, and they
mhm,
don't, because I think so much of this suppression is learned.
mhm. Oh,
And and
1000%.
and children, they're just like, this is me. This is who I am. And sometimes it's really weird and it's very off-putting, but it's also quite beautiful,
Mhm,
because I think
mhm,
as adults we look at that and we're like, wow, there's something nostalgic about it, because I wish that I could be that brave,
mhm,
or I
mhm.
wish I could do the things or say the crazy things that they say. And I think the more weird I am, the more vulnerable I am when I write.
Mm,
I recently like dived into writing horror as well.
mm, mm,
The more I am able to uncover the layers and
mhm,
discover more about myself
mhm,
that I would not have discovered if I just kind of like, nope, I'm not gonna do that.
mhm.
That's too vulnerable.
Yeah, that's
That's just
too.
that's too much.
Mhm,
They're gonna hate me.
mhm,
It's gonna make them think I'm weird. And who cares? Who cares?
That's
Because
it.
the people who truly value you
Mhm.
will stay.
Yes.
Just like I oh, getting emotional again.
Should
I
buy tissue box. I should have bought my tissue box.
like, I value my friendship with you so much. We've been friends for like what, 5 years, and just every time, every time I come to your house, it is so absolutely transformational
Mm,
because, especially this week, I could just, like, there's a coming to your house almost feels like, being in that mode of being a child because I'm
mm,
just I'm being present, and me being present, allows for me to face the things that I suppress,
mhm,
like grief. Like, I
mhm,
am a person who, I don't necessarily like to feel grief, but
mhm,
I will, like I said, transform that into something,
mm.
that can be beautiful. And I can often be like intensely excited and exuberant and just like a lot.
Mm,
But really, like sometimes that stuff happens, when we're trying to hide parts
mhm,
of ourselves, and
mhm,
the more I'm like here, and present, the more thankful and blessed I feel because I'm able to sit, like this feels like one giant poem, me being
mm,
here, one giant
mm, mm,
letter that I'm like experiencing.
mm.
Whew.
You should have brought the tissue box.
I'm a crier.
Yeah. Hey, I'm sitting there with a trailer for a movie crying. I fully it's beautiful to me. Like every tear is a gift. It is, truly. Thank
Every
you.
tear of sweat too.
Right. Can we count the
Every
bead of
tear of
sweat?
sweat. I
Oh, Sam, you're so kind. Thank you so, so much for saying all of that, and just makes my heart so full. And yeah, it's almost like I was watching as you were walking to the vegetable garden yesterday, and I just yeah, I was overcome with um yeah, it's kind of like a feeling of like, what did I ever do to deserve somebody like you? Seriously, what did I ever do? To deserve somebody so beautiful and so kind and so alive and so colorful. And you just, you're like this fairy like beaming radiant presence that just graced our home, and it's just so special. It's so special. And
Gosh,
yeah,
so much.
I love you so
I
much.
feel the same way. And we were just talking about an hour ago how beautiful the internet space can be.
Mhm, mhm,
Because sometimes you can find some of the most wonderful and beautiful people, and I feel
mhm.
like I felt like I found that in you and Daniel, and I'm so thankful to God.
Oh, we feel the same. Well, we feel the same about you, Sam. We feel the exact same way, and we're so incredibly grateful. And I think, honestly, I think it's important that people see like the raw emotion,
Yeah,
the raw gratitude that can come from the ability to meet people in this way that is, less than you will call it the SEM, right? Like the social coordination mechanism, where it's like there's actually a lot of incredible depth and hope that we all really need. We
oh
all
my
really, really
gosh.
need it.
And
And
we all have
yeah,
so much depth inside of us.
yes,
Like,
yes,
we all express ourselves in different ways.
yes,
I I know not everybody's not like you or me, where we're
mhm,
very like openly expressive
yes,
with our words.
yes,
Some people are openly expressive with their actions,
mhm,
like their acts of service, and
mhm,
that is just as beautiful.
mhm,
Um, just knowing that we all have just this absolute beauty inside of us,
mhm,
just waiting to get out, and
mhm,
that's why,
mhm,
the serendipitous energy is so important to me. Like,
mhm,
when you feel it, when you feel it,
mhm,
you you act.
mhm,
And
mhm.
it's gonna be awkward at first. It's like those first poems I started writing, like I said, awful. Absolutely awful. Um, I wow. But the the point is that I acted on it.
Yes.
And it's okay if
Yes.
it's
Mm,
awkward and you
yes.
feel
Mhm.
weird or you feel too vulnerable.
Mhm.
That is the
Mhm.
beauty of this life. We are
Yes.
so messy.
Mhm.
Life is not meant to be clean cut and
Mhm.
like stoic.
Mm,
Um, what is messy is so beautiful.
mhm. Oh, yes. Sometimes, yes. Bring a Darcy moment. Oh my gosh!
She's like, like as he's like shaking, like he's like, will you marry me?
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. I love that so much.
Oh, this was beautiful.
Yeah. Well, and I think, part of me is like having this question come up right now, Sam, where I'm like,
Mhm.
I wonder if somebody could be like, I'm always like, this is the little devil's advocate playing,
Yep.
its little role. But, somebody like, that's all good and well, and that's really lovely and everything like
Mhm.
that. But, mostly people just use the internet to consume absolute
Yeah.
garbage. And, and what about the people in your geolocational place? And,
Mhm.
well, what if it makes you not like what are you privileging people you could meet on the internet versus like people you could meet in the real world? The beautiful thing
Mhm.
about you, and I think the beautiful thing about what we're trying to insinuate, is not at all to like ignore the people around you. The
Mhm.
fact of the matter is that the people around you need you to show up fully as yourself,
Mhm.
fully in your taking those moments, fully in the yielding and relinquishing to the moments of beauty. They
Yeah.
need you to do that in order to be absolutely engaged and present and attentive and caring and kind and loving to the ones that are in your direct periphery, whether it's your family, your kids, or your neighbor or your friends from high school. There's something about this. Why I think it matters to talk about this special. It does kind of almost feel like a divine connection. Um, some people hate this book, some people love this book, but in the book Atlas Shrugged, there's a really incredible sense of a type of friendship that she demonstrates through the book. And there are these people that all like they just get each other. They
Mhm.
just that's how I feel with you. Like you just
Mhm.
kind of get one another. You understand. You have this like really profound connection. But you don't necessarily share the same like a geolocational space, and you don't necessarily share your quotidian day all the time with each other all the time. Though when you get to have it, it's really special.
Mhm.
But what I mean to say is like it. I think the reason why it's important to draw attention to it is one to just say it's possible to use the internet for such amazing things like that,
Mhm.
and then two, it should certainly not be at the expense of your lived experience. What the hope is that it could be in dialectic with that, so that the inspiration and the encouragement that like for example, you give to me so profoundly is just that ability to affirm and recognize the importance of writing the thing down, write the
Mhm.
poem, write the story, do it, allow yourself to do it. That is so special because we need those reminders. And look, there just might not be somebody in your actual like space that will do that
Mhm.
because and they don't need to. Like it's not their necessarily role. You should not hold that against other people. But therefore, you can actually receive it in this incredible kind of almost like spirit land of friends that is the internet, if you will, that then you get to meet in actual persons, like these
Yeah.
angelic visitations, which is you, that then like allow you to like be able to not hold it against the other people that they aren't giving you that encouragement that you
Mhm.
might be still desiring in your heart, or realizing wow I didn't realize how much I needed that. I don't have the expectation for it, it's a gift, but like
Right.
when you do receive it you're like wow that's really helpful. And then the people in your actual lived, your neighbors, your peoples, like then you can just literally just accept them and embrace and appreciate them for who they are. Does
Absolutely.
that make any sense? I'm
Absolutely.
trying to think about the fact that like I know I get it, like I can hate the internet too. Like the
Mhm.
internet can be absolute garbage, like I said. And I do, it does grieve my heart the way that I see, and look, I mean, we're all human. So in my history, I would think about like of my own historic moments with the internet. I could definitely say that I haven't always had a great relationship with it.
Mhm.
But when you learn um, the pits and horror of that, you can also know the heights of it too,
Mhm.
and the beauty of it too. And so, yeah, I think like, to me, it does feel important because again, we're trying to give language and actual presence and even um, modeling for what is possible. That there is a social, we can tap into a social imagination and demonstrate it.
Mhm.
And then the second thing is that uh, it yeah, it certainly. if it's at the expense of your actual relationships, then it's not being done in the right way.
Mhm.
Because actually what I do find, and I'll wrap it up here. I'm sorry, I'm kind of
Oh,
like
no,
going
no,
a
no,
little
no,
diatribe, but like I think that what, people might critique the idea of what we're saying, where like that you can meet people on the internet that can be so inspiring and wonderful, and bless you in so many ways. Like people might critique it to say, well, again, that means you're not building like physical community or something like that. Well, you couldn't know unless you knew the person's actual life and who they're actual, like what they're
Mhm.
actually building and what they're actually creating and how they actually do life in their lived day-to-day experience. But also people may have that critique all while they basically pour all of their energy into abstractions through the phone
Mhm.
and communities through the phone that like there are right ways, and like there are ways to do it that are going to like basically suck you into the void, and then there are ways to do it where you're not going to be sucked into the void.
Mhm.
And so I just want to say that, like, yeah, I understand the critiques, and look, if you could, if we're talking about a different historic moment, we maybe couldn't be saying these things because it wouldn't make sense. And also, there would be avenues that would just solely be on the local because of the givenness that would still be within the society. But when we've moved to a different historic moment, we have to sort of see the sublative potentialities of our technological offer, like the things that are on offer or the things that are existent. Um, but yeah, I think that yeah, again, I just do think it's important. Like, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to like, please don't get sucked into the void of Reddit like rabbit
Oh,
holes.
oh, oh
Please don't get sucked
goodness.
into like the rabbit hole of feeling the necessity to be in a DM volley. You know what I mean? Like, there's
Yeah.
such a thing that kind of just keeps gravitating people toward like having to respond, having like, not that I'm saying
Mhm.
it's bad to DM. I'm just saying there can be risks there if you
Mhm.
spend too much energy there and not enough energy into your own self, into your own people around you, and all of that. But yeah, if you can make contact for there to be um yeah, the building of relationship, an encouragement of work, an encouragement of engage in your own ideas and bring them forth,
Mhm.
and then the potential for visitation as well, like that's really the hope and the beauty and the way that it can be used, the way that it can be enjoyed. And yeah. What do you think about that? Like,
Yeah,
do you
well,
that was a lot.
I no, no,
Thank you for
no.
enduring all of my
I love hearing you talk, Michelle.
Thank you.
Um, I I I feel incredibly blessed because
Mm,
even though I have my beautiful friendships and my beautiful friends that I met
mm,
on the internet,
yeah.
um, there is a sort of void to that because you
Mm,
can get
yeah.
sucked into the podcasts and uh the constant contemplation
Mm,
of, well, what does this mean, what does that mean, and it's exciting,
yeah.
but it can be tiring
Mhm.
sometimes. Like
Mm,
I feel so blessed that I have both internet friends,
mhm.
but then I have like my wonderful
Mhm.
friends from high school
Yes.
that I've known for almost 20 years. And let me tell you, if anybody's going to ground me, it's going to be those people. Like I get sucked or I can get out of the void because
Mm,
oh gosh, they are such blessings. They're
mm,
like, okay, Sam, let's get to real life. And I love them all so much. It is such a blessing to have people in your life who have known you for so long.
yeah. Yeah.
And so I think, even though we talk about this beautiful space of the internet where we can meet people, it's so important to have those people who are your grounders.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and I guess I was just thinking as you were talking where maybe um there could be a way to see the internet as like just an, even though it's virtual, it's kind of another avenue to potentially build the friends that will be the ones who ground you very much. So
Absolutely.
because again, like unfortunately some people maybe don't have friends. They
Yes.
didn't feel like they were able to make a group of friends, and have that be a consistent beautiful feature of their life that they can always go back to. So for those people, that's why
Mhm.
I think there's another aspect of hope that I hope that it can demonstrate to give people, to say, if you're feeling like uh you don't have any friends, or like you
Mhm.
don't know what it means to have friendship, there is a way in which, and it's hard as an adult, like we talked about it, like once you get to
Oh,
adult
yeah.
years, making it can feel very
That's why I'm
challenging
like,
because there's
I
so
feel
many.
so lucky that they're still there.
Yeah, I was able to make them back in high school when I was
Because you're
yeah,
right,
yeah,
not everybody has that.
yeah, yeah, and that's okay. I mean, yes, that can be feel hard, but instead of
Mhm,
just wallowing in like, a victimhood mentality of like,
mhm,
I'm so alone. Look, we all feel lonely sometimes as humans. It's completely normal to feel lonely
mhm.
sometimes, but we do need to be active in trying to get to the root of why do we feel lonely and what can I actually do about it and what can I create that can draw in other people by
Yeah,
which and who with whom I can build community. I can build friendships. I can build people I feel able to go to with anything. I can
mhm.
talk to them about anything and they'll be
Absolutely.
all ears and they'll be I'm here for
Yeah.
you. So it's a rich space of actually I do think there's a rich space for friendship cultivation. Now, I was kind of thinking about it in terms of like I said, like the little rabbit holes, right, that the internet can provide. Um, but because there are literally like these like kind of um there are these places that are like little villages of people in discord or
Mhm.
and I guess there's a part of me that on onset like on one hand, I'm just kind of like, no, not like, don't do that, because it really can suck
Oh,
people down.
it's
Like,
very easy to get sucked into, especially if you're interested in a particular topic.
mm,
It's very easy to get sucked into that. Sorry, I didn't mean
oh
to
yeah, no,
interrupt you.
no. Well, so there's a part of me that's like, no, but then I also want to be empathetic and like, self skeptical with my gut reaction to it because I'm like, well, I understand. Like for some people,
Mhm.
like this is their place of home and their
Yeah.
community and their sense of friendship, especially for younger people, right, who have had more years of kind of growing up with the internet and in the internet, if you will, or something like that. Um, I the only risk there is that the interface is through a technological medium, and so it's being mediated by that technological medium. I already said that, but like what I mean to say is the technological essence in the Heideggerian sense can be at play
Mhm.
there too. And you have to just be, I think you just have to be a lot more discerning and a lot more careful. And the
Yes.
medium itself does not really equip you to be more discerning. In some ways,
Oh,
it
yeah.
kind of makes you less discerning because it feels so much more ease of access and ease of contact and ease of
Mhm.
connection with others, which can be good, but it can also be risky.
Yeah, because
Um,
you think people are being vulnerable, but actually they're curating how they're
Absolutely.
presenting themselves.
Absolutely. And also, it's kind of like, can they be there when you get a flat tire and suddenly you're like
Mhm.
I really need somebody like an actual person to come and like to I need to be able to
Right.
do that and um I don't know, it's an interesting arena to think about. I do think it's an important conversation though because I do think that there are a lot of people like yeah living in forums or living in not living, that's kind of a hyperbolic, but it depends on the age and what device they might be using and how much they're frequenting it or whatever. And you have to like be honest. It's kind of like a being honest with how much energy and how life-giving is it to you.
Right.
It might be in some ways a kind of coping mechanism,
Mhm.
which I don't mean to laugh about that. That's hard that people even feel like they're in a position where they have to have a coping community, if you will,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But perhaps I think that's why if you can use it as almost more like a launching pad, so it's like okay, you make the connections, let's say it's Discord, okay, you make the connections there, cool, okay, like you all really love I don't know, Tetris. I'm just making it. Make that a springboard for how you can maybe create your own stuff, like your own stuff with that, and your own ability to offer something and to receive something, and then that can also mean like being able to do things in physical places with one another. But I think it does yeah I think it's just also the time expenditure, like thinking about like your if you can spend more time where you're having a phone call, right, writing a letter, like these mediums matter so much because they actually impact like our psychological state and engagement with that other person. What it's like the immediacy and the speed and the fast intimacy kind of, if you will,
Yeah.
it's there are a lot of risks there that can be very energy draining.
Mhm.
Whereas if you can make it as a launch pad and a place of connection for the sake of what actually is able to give you more energy and create the more serendipitous energy, then that is a good way to use it. But I do think that it needs some more delineation because I think there's a lot of confusion around using the internet for, again, for good or for bad. And
Absolutely.
um yeah, but it's definitely yeah, it's a right topic. I think it is a very right topic, and it does feed into a lot of the work that we do as OG Rose with the SEM, etc. But I think the more that for us, we've had an age of no internet and then the internet. But for
Mhm.
people who haven't, I think it requires even more discernment in an age where there can be less really tutelage on it, if you will, to even use that word, because it's just kind of that it's thought of as kind of a passive. information tool slash entertainment tool slash camera slash like it's just especially if we're talking about the cell phone, which is always funny to me
Yeah.
that it's called like the cell phone. It's like it's a cell. It's a cell. It's a prison cell.
It's a prison
It can
cell.
be. I mean, it can be that way. And
Yeah.
so it's really important to get a really like again, there's probably some philosopher who talks about this, but like you should use your tools, not let your tools use you.
Right. It's how we direct our attention
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how we can find beauty in the way we direct our attention.
Hmm.
And um it can feel scary. It can feel vulnerable. Way more vulnerable than scrolling online. I
Mm-hmm.
would say that even picking up a book to read
Mm,
or just writing down something for yourself that nobody else, like writing in your journal,
yeah.
that can be an act of attention that feels vulnerable. And I
Mm,
think we live in a day and age where we so much want to be seen and
mm.
yet simultaneously escape that vulnerability of being seen.
Oh yeah. 1000%. Sam, this has been amazing.
This has been wonderful.
I've loved every minute of it, and it's given me food for thought too,
Yes.
which is one of my favorite things. Is that there's always more that I sort of questions that pop up in my brain that we can continue to converse about and that I can meditate on and think about as
I
well.
know
So,
I've been writing the entire time I've been here. I'm like, I'm so inspired.
oh, thank you, Sam. Well, thank you so so much again for being here, for talking with me, for doing this recording. oh, thank
I
you,
love
Sam.
you so much.
Thank you so much. I love you.
I'm gonna cry again.
Okay, yeah, you're the best.
You
You're
are
the
too.
best. well, thank you all so much. Bye.